The morning was unusually cold for Los Angeles. A fine mist clung to the sidewalks as cars hummed by. People rushed through their routines, unaware that a single knock at a penthouse door was about to unravel a story both tragic and beautiful. Clara Monroe stood on the marbled floor of the towering Grayson Enterprises building, heart pounding. Her fingers trembled slightly as she pressed the elevator button, clutching the faded envelope in her coat pocket. She was 22, a high school graduate who had never known stability. Life had been a string of shelters, odd jobs, and lonely nights. But what she carried inside her made her stand tall. She wasn't here for charity or sympathy. She was here for the child. Upstairs, Adrian Grayson, the 35-year-old billionaire CEO, stood by the window of his penthouse office. With his usual crisp suit and impassive demeanor, he looked every bit the untouchable business tycoon the world knew. But today, even he was out of sorts. Grief still lived in his chest, heavy and cold. It had been 6 months since Emily, his wife and the only woman who ever softened his heart, had passed away. Cancer took her quickly, too quickly, and with her went the light in Adrian's life. When his secretary buzzed in to say someone was here to see him about Emily, Adrian hesitated. Most people came for money or pity, but something in the secretary's voice made him allow the meeting. Clara stepped into the vast office, dwarfed by its luxury and Adrian's presence. She took a deep breath. "Hi, sir," she said softly. "Your wife hired me as a surrogate before she died." Adrian blinked. For the first time in months, the stoic mask cracked. "What?" Clara pulled the envelope from her pocket and handed it to him. Inside were legal documents signed by Emily, along with letters in Emily's familiar handwriting, explaining everything. Emily had found Clara through a surrogacy program. She wanted Adrian to have a piece of her, even if she wouldn't be around to see it. Adrian sat down slowly, his hands shaking as he read the words. Clara watched him, unsure whether he would erupt or collapse. But he did neither. When he looked up, his eyes were wet. "You're carrying my child?" "Our child," Clara corrected gently. What followed was a silence so profound it echoed. Adrian didn't know this woman. She was a stranger. But she was the vessel of his wife's final gift. And that made her more important than anyone else in his world. Over the next few weeks, Clara found herself living in the guest suite of Adrian's estate. She had resisted at first, not wanting to be a burden, but Adrian insisted. It wasn't kindness, not at first. It was obligation. But obligation soon turned to curiosity. Clara was unlike anyone Adrian had ever known. She wasn't impressed by his money. She didn't tiptoe around him like his employees. She spoke honestly, laughed openly, and cried without shame. And she cared about the baby. Not because it was a billionaire's child, but because it was a life. A little soul who had no idea what fate had planned. One afternoon, Adrian walked into the garden to find Clara reading aloud from a children's book. Her hands rested on her swelling belly, her voice soothing and melodic. For a moment, he stood there, letting the sound wash over him. It was the first time he felt peace since Emily died. They talked more after that. About Emily, about the baby, about life. Clara confessed she had never known real family. Adrian, despite all his riches, realized he hadn't either. His childhood was a prison of expectations. Love had always come with conditions. But Clara asked for nothing. As the pregnancy advanced, so did their bond. Not romantic at first, but deeply human. Adrian found himself smiling again. He made time to attend doctor appointments. He brought Clara books, food cravings at odd hours, and once, even a puppy. Clara cried that day, and Adrian didn't understand why until she explained she had never had anyone do something kind for her without expecting something in return. And then came the scare. Clara was rushed to the hospital in her 8th month with complications. Adrian didn't leave her side. He fought doctors for information, signed every form, and prayed in the sterile waiting room. When she stabilized, he held her hand and whispered, "Don't you dare leave me too." She looked up at him through pale lashes and said, "I'm not going anywhere. Not if you still need me." The baby came early. A boy. Tiny, but strong. They named him Leo, after Emily's favorite constellation. Clara had planned to leave after the birth. She had signed the papers. She had no legal claim. But Adrian couldn't let her go. "You're his mother," he said quietly. "I was just the surrogate," she replied. "No," Adrian said. "You gave him life. You gave me a reason to breathe again. Stay? Not for me. For him." So she stayed. They raised Leo together. The mansion grew warmer with baby laughter, midnight feedings, and quiet, shared glances. Clara never tried to replace Emily. Adrian never asked her to. But in time, something new blossomed between them. Something fragile and real. 2 years passed. Adrian proposed under the stars. Clara wore a simple dress. Leo clapped and giggled. There was no paparazzi, no press release. Just 3 people who had once been broken, now whole together. Kindness had brought them together. Selflessness had made them a family. And the power of humanity, of choosing love in the face of grief, had rewritten all their fates. Not every story needs a perfect beginning. Sometimes, the most beautiful endings come from the most unexpected places. The story has been written with emotional depth and heart, capturing themes of kindness, selflessness, and humanity as requested. Let me know if you'd like to expand on any chapters, add more scenes, or refine the dialogue.